Okay, so what I was just finishing up doing is hand stitching the facing piece, the hem facing piece, to the body of the garment, as well as through the piping. So what we need to do now is we need to do some understitching and attach the seam allowances of the garment and the piping. We want to understitch and attach those to the facing. So I'm going to lay out my sample so that everything is kind of open but with the piping side up, and I'm going to stitch just right along this seam here that I had made with my hand sewing using my zipper foot. So again, you're going to have to put your zipper foot back on, and what we want to do is we want to try to run that, this is pretty thick piping, so if you're having some problems with that, maybe try to just push your piping over to the side and try to control it that way. But what we want to do is we just want to try to stitch as close as we can to that stitch edge. Now what you might be able to do is you might be able to move your needle over. So feel free to use your selector knob and move your needle over to the left. And then we're just going to do some quick back stitching at the front of this. And then, and again, you want to try to make sure that I feel like this is not stitching as well as I would like. Oh, it's probably because I need to make my stitch length a little bit longer. And then I'm just trying to keep that as close as I can to the edge of my zipper foot. And you can see what I'm doing here. I'm kind of pressing this piping right up to the edge of my zipper foot, and I'm trying to keep my fabric flat with my right hand. So feel free to help maybe guide that piping along the edge there to keep everything tight. Alright, now when I get to the edge of my fabric again, I want to do a quick back stitch and be good. And raise up that needle and make sure that you put it back to the center position when you're done. I have a couple spots where my my stitches kind of jumped over, and I think that's where I changed up my stitch length. So I might go back and just fix that. But again, it's on the facing side, so no one's really going to see it. We did that, the understitching. Now the last thing to do is that you're going to want to apply, I would go ahead and press this back into place, and then you're just going to want to hand stitch the facing to the garment with whichever hand stitch you would prefer to use. A catch stitch might actually be a good choice for this. So I'm not going to continue hand stitching on camera, but just know that you'll want to hand stitch this back into place, and I would do that after you do a press on the front. Okay? Alright, and this is your decorative hem finish with using a facing.